that's a very realistic take, really.
This is very realistic, but actually people don't understand, you see, that actually going to greener pasture is something of the past. No longer actually that everyone who crosses, you see, the Mediterranean for greener pasture, for you see, for countries like Italy or like France, or you see, it doesn't mean that he will prosper. It's not necessarily that he's going to, you see, to make a fortune.
Okay, Mr. Ahmed, we can see, I can see the next book that's on the lineup is called Azazil.
Yes.
By Yusuf Zidan. Tell us a bit about this book.
Yes, of course. This is actually I read this book last year. Last year it was during Ramadan, and usually during Ramadan I just select books of sort of religious nature.
Of course.
Yeah. So actually this was actually the highlight of all cultural media. So I just got it and decided that I'd spend all. I was on vacation, and I decided I'd spend, you see, all my day reading the book. It's not an easy read, by the way, and actually it drew my attention that this is actually the first serious books, you see, or one of the serious books to discuss what we call the history of Christianity in Egypt in a very serious fashion.
So tell us a bit more about that.
Yes, actually, I met Zidan at a signing event at one of the Shuruk bookstores, and I told him that this is actually more or less a counterpart of the Da Vinci Code. You must have heard of the Da Vinci Code. Yes. Okay. He told me no. I said yes. I'm not saying this is the same. This is the same. What you call a kind of fiction, but more or less it is discussing, you see, what we really don't know about Christianity, whether in Egypt or worldwide.
Absolutely right. Another book you have in store for us.
This is actually a young author. Maybe this is her second book. She's called Shireen Hanai. Okay, and this is necrophilia. Necrophilia is I don't know. It might sound horrifying, but this is actually a psychological case of a girl who is actually addicted to making love with the dead. Yeah. And actually this is a very young author, and it's a very, very interesting read, but if you just can't tolerate the horror, okay. She's actually a case of what you call dyslexia, yeah, when they just want to vomit.
Anorexia and bulimia.
Anorexia, I'm sorry, yes. This is called anorexia, and she's so thin, she's so skinny, okay, that everyone is scared away from her, okay. And because of this, she actually goes. She had a friend whose father was what you call a grave digger, okay, and she saw the scene of the dead, and she decided, you see, to get into the act. I know it's horrifying, but actually I want to draw attention to the fact that this type of novels is so much in fashion.
Absolutely.
By the way, what you call the horror novels, what you call the psychological novel, and we have to underline the fact that because our society is changing and we are actually turning into what we call global economy, this is typical. This kind of literature is typical, you see, of that kind of change.
Right. On that very interesting note, Mr. Ahmed Kafafi, we'll go to a very short break, and we'll be right back to continue with you your latest readings and writings.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're still with our guests for today's edition of Bookworm, Mr. Ahmed Kafafi, journalist and author, telling us about his latest readings as well as his latest publications. Once again, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you.
We just discussed some of your favorite readings. We still have 2 more books in store. If you can tell us a bit more about them.
Yes, this is actually what we call an anthology. by poet Ahmed Siraj, and it's from A to Z poetry on the January Revolution.
Right.
You see, and actually, what I liked about the book, this is actually the first of young poets to be devoted to what you call nationalistic poetry.
Wow.
Because now we see all the young poets nowadays are too much into what romance and into actually relating their personal experiences and things like that. But this is uniquely, you see, a poet who is devoted to the political, you see, and what the social scene.
Very interesting indeed. And finally
we have got Maskaniga. You see, Maskaniga is Salamu Alaikum in Nubian.
Right.
You see, and actually this book I have recently been reading because I'm just doing a feature on you see on the subject of repatriating the Nubians.
Right.
And it was actually interesting to read what one of them is saying. Actually, it's I don't want to say it's an ethnic problem. The Nubians have a cause, but repatriating them into the same place after 60 years is actually creating lots of problems.
Is another problem in itself.
Is another problem, but more or less, I think sooner or later they will be getting their rights.
Absolutely, we hope so. Mr. Ahmed, now you've shared with us a lot of your readings today on various different topics and a variety really of books. Tell me, how has what you've read influenced what you've written? Tell us a bit about your own publications.
Yes, what I have read now or what I have been reading.
Generally and as well as now.
Of course, I mean, like you cannot actually separate what a writer is, or even a journalist, what he's reading from what he's writing, because ABC in writing is to read.
Right.
You cannot write, you see, unless you read. And of course, you cannot. It's something like we call the stream of consciousness. You see, it is difficult to say, you see, how you got influenced by a certain book or a certain fact that you have been going across. However, of course, you see, you get influenced by what you read.
Absolutely. So tell us a bit about what you've written now. You've got a book here in store for us.
Yes, of course. This is very much related to the fact of reading and writing when it comes to an author, because this is the only collection of short stories that actually has been created out of my journalistic experience.
It's called Ant Circle?
It's called Ant Circle.
And this is a translation?
This is a translation in Arabic. It's called Namula Ha'ira. Okay, and we decided that you see, to change, when translating the name, we just decided to change it into a more idiomatic title.
So this is a collection of short stories?
Yes, this is a collection of short stories actually that has been triggered by my press career.
Right.
Okay. So if you would like me to talk about it, I would like to highlight just two of the short stories. One of them is called Niv Shalom. And if you go back to 2000, okay, when there was actually a hope of reconciliation between the Arabs and the Israelis, so I wrote this Niv Shalom. This Niv Shalom is called the Peace Oasis, and it's actually on the road between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, where actually a group of Arabs and Israelis decided to leave behind, you see, all what's happening in the country and live together.
Wow, that's quite amazing, sir.
Yes. The other one is called Farah, and it's about the Iranian war, the 8-year war between Iran and Iraq. And actually, it is about a woman that actually crossed the Shatt al-Arab in search of the remains of her son, who she believed, you see, was killed in battle.
Mr. Ahmed, do you have any other works and publications coming up?
Actually, I am thinking right now of writing about the January Revolution. This is an obsession, but I really don't know how to begin.
You don't know how to begin.
And where to begin.
Well, Mr. Ahmed Kafafi, on that note, thank you very much for joining us on this edition of Bookworm. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.